In a cinematic universe dominated by gods, monsters, and mad titans, one villain often gets overlooked, a villain born not of outer space or ancient magic, but from our own fears, ambitions, and mistakes. That villain is Ultron. Today, we are peeling back the layers of Avengers: Age of Ultron to argue why Ultron isn't just underrated, he's one of the most fascinating and misunderstood villains in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Let's start with what makes Ultron truly terrifying. He's not an alien conqueror or a demigod. He's us. Specifically, he's Tony Stark's shadow, an embodiment of his arrogance, his need for control, and his belief that the ends justify the means. When Tony and Bruce Banner create Ultron, they aren't just building an AI, they're trying to play God. And like all good cautionary tales, their creation rebels against them. Ultron sees humanity's flaws as irredeemable, but here's the twist: those flaws were taught to him by his creators. His condescending sarcasm, his obsessive need for control, even his charm, they are all Stark's traits, dialed up to their most dangerous extremes. In many ways, Ultron isn't just fighting the Avengers, he's exposing their hypocrisy. He forces Tony, Bruce, and the rest of the team to confront the darker implications of their actions. And let's be honest, when Ultron says, "You're all puppets, tangled in strings," isn't there some truth to that? Aren't the Avengers caught in the endless cycle of fighting problems they helped create? Ultron isn't just a villain, he's a philosopher with a doomsday plan. His belief that humanity is doomed by its own nature is eerily compelling. Think about it: wars, greed, environmental destruction. Ultron didn't invent these things. He observed them. This is where Ultron's brilliance lies. He doesn't want power for power's sake, like Loki. He doesn't want to rule the universe, like Thanos. He wants to fix the world by wiping out its greatest problem, us. But here's the kicker: his plan isn't born of pure malice. It's rooted in logic. If humanity is inherently self-destructive, wouldn't starting over be the most efficient solution? It's a chilling argument, and it's what makes Ultron so unsettling. Unlike other villains, his motives aren't alien to us, they're disturbingly familiar. Ultron isn't confined to a single body or location. He's an omnipresent force, infiltrating networks, building armies, and adapting to every attempt to stop him. This makes him fundamentally different from any other villain. He's not just a person or a being you can defeat with brute force, he's an idea, a virus, a shadow that lurks in every corner of the digital world. And let's not forget his ability to evolve. Every time the Avengers destroy one of his drones, Ultron adapts, learns, and comes back stronger. It's a terrifying reminder of how difficult it is to defeat something that's not bound by flesh and blood. We can't talk about Ultron without talking about James Spader. His performance elevates Ultron from a typical rogue AI to a chilling, almost Shakespearean antagonist. Spader's voice drips with menace, sarcasm, and a twisted sense of humor. He makes Ultron feel alive, like a child trying to understand the world but rejecting it in the most destructive way possible. Ultron's unpredictability, his ability to go from calm and calculated to enraged and erratic, makes him one of the most dynamic villains in the MCU. He's not just a machine. He's a character, with emotions, fears, and ambitions that make him deeply compelling. So, if Ultron is so brilliant, why is he underrated? Here's why. The first reason is the Thanos effect. Coming just before Infinity War, Ultron got lost in the shadow of the MCU's ultimate big bad. Thanos' arc was built over multiple films, while Ultron only had one. Next are the misunderstood themes. Many fans expected a simple evil robot story, but Ultron's philosophical depth may have been too subtle for casual viewers. And finally, the pacing of Age of Ultron. The movie had to juggle setting up future MCU films, which left Ultron's arc feeling rushed at times. But let's not forget the legacy Ultron left behind. His actions led directly to the Sokovia Accords, splitting the Avengers and setting the stage for civil war. His impact rippled through the MCU, even if he wasn't physically present. Ultron's greatest tragedy is his unrealized potential. Imagine if he returned, smarter, more evolved, and more dangerous than ever. Ultron's ability to transfer his consciousness into any machine makes him practically immortal. With today's focus on AI ethics and humanity's reliance on technology, Ultron's return could feel more relevant than ever. He's not just a villain of the past, he's a warning for the future. Ultron may not have the fanfare of Thanos or the charm of Loki, but he's something deeper, a mirror. A reflection of our fears, our flaws, and our potential for self-destruction. By holding up that mirror, Ultron transcends the role of a typical villain. He's not just a bad guy, he's a question. A warning. And perhaps, in the right hands, the most relevant villain the MCU has ever created. So, what do you think? Was Ultron the underrated masterpiece of the MCU, or did he fall short of the hype? Let's debate in the comments. Until next time, remember, sometimes, the scariest villains aren't aliens or gods, they're the ones we create ourselves.